All right, let me go ahead and call the meeting to order then. This is a regularly scheduled and called business meeting of the Greer City Council, convened this day, March 11th, 2014. I'd like to ask Councilman Riley Bettis, if he would, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation. If you'll join us by standing, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're certainly grateful of the many blessings you have bestowed upon our beautiful city that we call home. We pray that we would continue to be deserving of such blessings. We thank you that we're able to assemble as free men and women to conduct the business of our fellow citizens. Pray that we remind what Thomas Jefferson said, that the importance of freedom is eternal vigilance. Go with us now and give us the strength and the wisdom to make decisions which will be pleasing in your sight. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and we set aside time in the meeting for public forum, an opportunity for those in the community to speak. 2 items on the agenda this evening. And Ms. Duncan, anyone does appear in public forum this evening?
No, sir.
With that, then, we'll move to the minutes of our council meeting. Council, you have the minutes contained in your packet. This evening, I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any items of note for the clerk? These are the minutes from our February 25th, 2014 meeting. Not hearing any. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert? Yes. Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council, we have a special recognition that I'd like to make this evening. I'm going to ask John Wareham to join me. John is Chief Public Affairs Officer with the American Red Cross for the Western Carolinas region. And a proclamation that we want to offer this evening that reads thus. American Red Cross Month, and whereas March is American Red Cross Month, a special time to recognize and thank our everyday heroes, those who reach out to help their neighbors when they are in need. And whereas American Red Cross heroes are on the front line every day, they volunteer their time, give blood, take life-saving courses, or provide financial donations to help those in need. And whereas we would like to remember our heroes here in Greer who give help to people in need. They work tirelessly to help in time of disaster when someone needs life-saving blood or the comfort of a helping hand. They provide around-the-clock support to members of the military, veterans, and their families, and teach life-saving classes in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. And whereas across the country and around the world, the American Red Cross responded to hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and wildfires, the tragedy at the Boston Marathon, and Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. And whereas when an injured service member ends up in the hospital far from home, the American Red Cross offers comfort. When a hospital patient needs blood, American Red Cross blood donors help them. When a lifeguard jumped in to save a drowning child, or someone stepped up to help a heart attack victim, the American Red Cross was there. Whereas we dedicate this month of March to all who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies, our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, and blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Now therefore, the City of Greer proclaims March 2014 hereby is American Red Cross Month throughout the City of Greer, South Carolina. And with that, sir, we'd like to present this to you, to present to the organization. And in just brief comments that we had earlier today, he was talking about how busy it has been over the last several months. And so I'd like you to share with us what the American Red Cross is doing to help address the issues we just discussed.
Thank you, Mayor Danner. Just briefly, as the incidence of disasters, it just continues to increase. Up until a few months ago, we were responding our volunteers to 2 disasters a day, 2 disasters a day across our region, which is upstate South Carolina and western North Carolina. We're now up to 3 a day. So we've had over 200 disasters in the last 2 months, affecting over 600 people. And we couldn't do it without the volunteers. This proclamation is really for them. And so we post these in our lobby where our volunteers come in and out along with a photograph. And it's really a great way to thank them for what they do. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We have a number of organizations in our community that lend help on a daily basis to our community, but American Red Cross really does step into the gap sometimes and addresses those issues that our local agencies may not have the resources or the manpower to handle. And American Red Cross is an integral part of providing assistance to this community. We typically think of them in the larger disaster kind of realm sometime, but they are typically one of the first ones on site for house fires and other smaller disasters that we may not even recognize sometimes. And so their assistance and work in our community is greatly appreciated and often undervalued. So just wanted to take time to recognize the work they are doing for us. With that, then, we want to move on to a presentation this evening, as we do from time to time with the various different departments of the city. We ask them to make a presentation or give an update on their activity and work. And so tonight we have asked Mr. Reno Deaton, who is the Executive Director of the Greer Development Corporation, to join us and give us an overview of what's been going on in the world of economic development. And I hope he has condensed what he is doing, because if not, we're going to be here for quite some time, because I understand that he has been a very busy gentleman of late. So the floor is yours, sir.
Mayor, thank you so much. Council, it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you for the opportunity to spend a few minutes on your program this evening to get you up to speed on some activities relative to the Greer Development Corporation, but more specifically to talk in a little bit of detail about industrial development opportunities that we have here in the city of Greer, and very specifically about why we here in the city of Greer are in a great position to compete for the kinds of projects that we want to see located in Greer. Our board of directors, the Greer Development Corporation, we have a number of folks here present this evening, have gone through our process of setting our goals and objectives for 2014. I would call these aggressive goals, but I would call these realizable goals for us as an organization and for us as a community. We've had great success in the past in terms of new projects, new capital investment, new job creation. And I think our goals and objectives moving forward reflect our desire to continue to push forward, to push the envelope, if you will, in terms of creating those opportunities for this community. We want to, this year, create a minimum of $50 million in new capital investment for projects that we successfully land here in the city of Greer. At least 400 new jobs created here in the city in this calendar year. In order to do that, we're going to need to make sure that our contacts with decision makers go up. So we've ratcheted that number up to at least 150 unique meetings that we'll have with folks who are decision makers, people who have the ability to bring us new projects, prospects, and leads. that we'll maintain a healthy pipeline, that to get to that $50 million in new capital investment, that 400 new jobs, we'll need to land at least 6 industrial projects, at least 10 commercial projects, and that we as an organization will continue our process of being diligent in terms of our business retention activities. In the past, we've set that number at anywhere from 60 to 100, again, reflecting our desire to be more aggressive in terms of our goals and objectives. We've increased that number to 150 this year, so 150 calls on existing businesses that we'll make this calendar year to make sure that we are doing everything we can do for the existing businesses here in the city of Greer. There are some subjective measures as well. Clearly, fiscal responsibility is measurable, but things like marketing and innovation, making sure that we as an organization are adequately representing the city, that we're doing new things to attract leads, to land prospects, to win projects, that as an organization we are managed top-notch, that our folks are well-trained, and that our board, reflective of your trust, has the best opinion, the best direction of us as possible. As you'll recall, we do our program of work based upon 4 focus areas: business retention, which we've discussed; new business recruiting, which is what I'll focus on tonight; targeted marketing, making sure that we are reaching out to the right prospects and the right consumers; and new product development, which again will sort of play into my comments this evening. In terms of new business recruiting, the process that we go through in terms of creating our target industry list is to sit down with our board of directors to look at our assets, to look at our trends, to look at the target industries identified by our partners, and to lay out then those groups that we feel that we have a great opportunity to go out and recruit in a given calendar year. On the industrial side, this year, we have identified those as automotive, aviation aerospace, advanced materials manufacturing, data centers, and transportation, distribution, and logistics. Clearly, the difference between winning and losing those projects, the difference between being noticed and not being noticed by those folks who are decision makers in those various areas, is the product that we have to offer. And the term product we use to refer to as sites and buildings. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time this evening with you talking about the kinds of industrial product that we have, and exactly why we have a competitive advantage here in Greer as it relates to those target industries. I'm going to start this evening with Caliber Ridge. Caliber Ridge, as we know, is the large industrial development there on Highway 101 across from the entrance to BMW. It is our only concrete tilt wall construction development here in the city of Greer, which really is unique anywhere, but certainly unique within the boundaries of a city. With the precast construction, we are able to accommodate ceiling heights of 28 to 32 feet, which again gives us a competitive advantage as it pertains to all of our target industries. The configuration is flexible in terms of docks, so we can accommodate a number of different users with respect to these buildings. ESFR sprinkler system, that's early suppression, fast response. Again, an amenity, if you will, that makes us much more competitive in the eyes of automotive, aviation aerospace, and those advanced materials manufacturers that we covet. And as all of our properties have risen to this status, Caliber Ridge is in the foreign trade zone, which again gives us a great opportunity as we recruit those organizations from outside the United States. As we know, Caliber Ridge is a development of Liberty Property Group. The original proposed layout for Caliber Ridge is the 5 building setup that you see here. The one building, about 150,000 square feet, is fully leased. The first building, the building out on Highway 101, is also 150,000 square feet. It's completed now, 50,000 of which is committed. And that leaves us, for the first time in a very, very long time, with speculative industrial space. And let me emphasize that again. Speculative industrial space, 100,000 square feet of which, 100,000 square feet of Class A speculative industrial space. And I hope that all of our media folks include that, bold it, underline it in red, whatever you have to do to let folks know that here in the city of Greer we have 100,000 square feet of speculative Class A industrial space. You can travel throughout South Carolina and you won't find that kind of opportunity in many communities. It really does set us apart from so many other folks as we look to recruit automotive, aviation, aerospace, advanced materials manufacturing, and the like. Because a lot of our prospects that come to the community although we like to propose build-to-suit frequently, don't have the time in terms of their process to wait for a building to be constructed. That we have building on the ground ready to go really makes a difference for us. And Caliber Ridge is well suited to accommodate a number of different users. So you can see the various alternative configurations that they would consider relative to projects that might come our way. So again, the one building that's perpendicular is full. The building out front is 50% committed with 100,000 square feet of speculative space. And we can accommodate then a number of different configurations, not just the 150,000 square foot boxes that have been originally proposed. We could accommodate a 210,000 square foot user. And in the other configuration, we could actually accommodate a 400,000 square foot user at Caliber Ridge. Again, tremendous opportunity for us as we look to recruit a number of different groups that have expressed interest in our community and are on our target industry list. The second park I'll talk about is Velocity Park. Velocity Park is generally that area that we've identified as bounded by Genoble Road, Victor Hill Road, and Robinson Farm Road, kind of behind the BMW test track. Although the developer has also identified two parcels, sites 1 and 2, that are on Brookshire Road, that he has collectively marketed as Velocity Park. Velocity Park for us is a very interesting opportunity. We're very fortunate to have partnered with Alan Cohn on this project as the developer. He's done a phenomenal job in terms of making this property ready for development. A couple of years ago, relative to the Lear project, the Greer Commission of Public Works extended sewer down Genoble Road to now provide sewer to Velocity Park. Mr. Cullum, along with some other experts, partnered to make sure that we have a South Carolina certified site. So we've gone through the process of certification with the state of South Carolina, which again is a designation that you won't find in all greenfield sites. More recently, we've partnered with Duke Energy and Deloitte Consulting out of Chicago in an effort called Project Bandwidth. It is an effort to provide an additional certification for appropriate sites that are right for data center development. And as data centers are one of our target industries, it's a process that we've gone through to make sure that we have done all the pre-development steps necessary to make sure that should we become privy to an opportunity to recruit a data center, that Velocity Park is recognized as perhaps a better landing site for a data center than another otherwise equal greenfield site. And you're all familiar with what data centers are. They're not huge job creators, but they are phenomenal tax base creators in terms of the infrastructure, the building and the infrastructure they're in. They're also great utility users for the community. So data centers fill a great niche for us in terms of some sites that may not be otherwise well suited for, say, automotive. Maybe a data center is a better fit. We've also worked with Mr. Cullum and his folks to lay out a master development plan for not only Velocity Park, but the potential area that could expand to. So sites 3 and 4 represent 100 acres that Mr. Cullum has under control. There are another 200 acres adjacent that could be added to the Velocity Park infrastructure. And this is just one configuration. But what I hope that you take away from this is that the capacity of Velocity Park relative to our infrastructure, relative to the potential master development plan, gives us the ability to accommodate more than 1 million square feet of Class A development. Of course, nothing is speculative at this point, but for any greenfield project out there, we have the ability to compete. Every single greenfield project out there, we have the capacity in terms of utilities, we have the space, we have the layout, we can compete for any project out there today. Moving on to a more mature industrial park here in our community, Gateway International Business Center. We all know Gateway as the Brookshire Road area. They're off of Highway 101 and across from the truck entrance to BMW. Gateway has done very well in recent years in absorbing a lot of the automotive, advanced materials, and some aviation opportunities that have come our way. Gateway is really very unique in that the size spaces that are available are particularly well suited for those kinds of Tier 2 and service groups that are affiliated with those groups. We've got just a couple of spots that are now available in Gateway, one of which is 550 Brookshire Road, 9,000 square feet. A little heavy on the office side of things, 5,200 square feet of that 9,000 is office. So this is a building that's probably a little better suited for engineering groups, for automation groups. a little more office component than manufacturing assembly component. But again, foreign trade zone designation, plenty of drive-in and dock door access. 520 Brookshire Road is very similar, 21,000 square feet in this particular building, but a little better ratio of office to warehouse. 15,000 warehouse, another 18,000 square feet of showroom with great ceiling heights and a huge, significant dock configuration. A number of both dock and drive-in doors makes this a building that's very competitive for automotive and aviation aerospace in terms of its setup. 560 Brookshire Road is a little smaller, 6,000 square feet in a multi-tenant 12,000 square foot building. Again, this is a very typical setup for us here in Greer with 6,000 square feet of manufacturing and just 1,000 square feet of office. You'll usually find in these cases about 2 docks, 2 drive-ins, but this is the kinds of buildings that really don't stay on the market very long because, again, a number of those Tier 2 and service groups that are related to automotive, aviation, aerospace, and in some cases advanced materials manufacturing sort of scoop up the foreign trade zone opportunity, the proximity to BMW, the proximity to the interstate, the proximity to groups like Honeywell. Those are all real drivers for Brookshire and buildings just like this. A little smaller space, 1097 Highway 101 South. This is there on the corner of Gateway, Brookshire Road. We have 3 2,400 square foot spaces available in this building, 2 of which can be combined to give you the biggest footprint there of 4,800 square feet. Again, we've done very well in this kind of building with engineering and automation groups, those groups that have a need to be in and out of the BMW manufacturing facility quickly, efficiently, and want to be close by and have that close contact. Again, this is the kind of space that does not stay available long here in our market. We also have the opportunity to expand Gateway International Business Center with a build-to-suit there in the corner. We've worked very hard with developers to try to push forward a 2-building configuration of a little better than 20,000 square feet each. Of course, speculative construction is always a challenge, and we're working through those issues. We're hopeful that we'll get a prospect in the box, so to speak, that will help to leverage construction of the first building sooner rather than later there at the Highway 101 Business Park. A little bit of older area of town, the Poplar Drive extension and South Buncombe Road. This is a great driver for us as it pertains to automotive, aviation, aerospace, and advanced materials manufacturing. Recently, 1704 Poplar Drive extension has become available. This is a great building for us in terms of our market. 35,000 square feet puts us in play for a lot of different opportunities. One of the really unique features about this particular building is that it has 100% air conditioning, not a feature that you find very frequently in manufacturing buildings. It makes it particularly a good building for a lot of the aviation, advanced metalworking kind of projects that we tend to recruit. To build a building with 100% air conditioning versus to lease a building that's already constructed with 100% AC, the price differential is staggering. So to have this kind of product available in our market really puts us way ahead of the game in terms of our competitors. 1521 South Buncombe Road is 25,000 square feet. It is sort of a showroom mixture. It's nice to have a 25,000 square footer there at the intersection of South Buncombe and the Vern Smith. We know that there's a lot of traffic coming our way relative to the inland port, so if you're transportation, distribution, logistics, to have the kind of covered area that this product has, the little office area with the showroom, and certainly a little bit of storage area, I think really puts us in the mix for the TDL projects that are sort of circling around the Vern Smith parkway. 1470 South Buncombe Road is fairly similar, a very basic warehouse, 12,000 square feet. Not every project is automotive, aviation, aerospace. Some are metalworking and chemicals, and 1470 South Buncombe Road fits very well in that category. Not great ceiling heights, 11 to 18 feet, but with 1 dock and 1 drive-in door and great proximity to the Vern Smith Parkway. This really puts us in the mix for some of those other projects that we covered as well. Very similar to 1425 B and D South Buncombe Road. We refer to this as the Poplar Grove Business Park. We have 2 10,500 square foot buildings here. One of the great features about these buildings is the high ceiling heights of 20 to 25 feet. That puts us in the mix for a number of projects that require racking of their product. Multiple dock and drive-in configurations here. One of the buildings has about 1,000 square feet of office. One of the buildings has no office space. So again, there's great flexibility between the two, or with the two combined, for the kind of projects that we're recruiting today. Concourse Way, so this is the area out of 1485, just a couple of buildings that I'll mention here. 54 Concourse Way, to have 10,000 square feet within a stone's throw of Interstate 85 is a great get for us. 17-foot ceiling heights, obviously the higher the better, but I think that's still competitive. A typical configuration of dock and drive-in doors, but again, a real differentiator for this building is 100% air conditioning in this building. So if you're in aviation aerospace, if you're an advanced materials manufacturer, the proximity to the airport, proximity to the 85, and this feature really makes us competitive for those projects that we're recruiting. 356 West Phillips is new construction, 10,000 square feet, better ceiling heights of 20 to 21 feet, 2 dock doors and 2 drive-ins. This is a very marketable building. If I were a real estate investor, but for maybe looking at the ceiling heights, I'd be building 10,000 square foot buildings all day long, every day, because our market is one that tends to be very positive in terms of its ability to absorb that kind of real estate. Again, as you look at the kind of projects that tend to come our way, 10,000 square feet is a great space. This configuration, this setup, this look should be very, very attractive. There are 2 buildings on site, 356 and 360. 360 has leased already, and it went very quickly, and I'll anticipate that 356 will go quickly as well. Finally, let me talk a little bit about the inland port effect, because we really have felt it, not just in the number of folks who have contacted us to talk about the opportunities that are available in Greer, but we've also seen a real reaction from the private sector in terms of beginning to organize sites that are appropriate for the kinds of projects, transportation, distribution, logistics, that I believe are coming our way as a result of the inland port and its decision to locate here in Greer. Just a list of some of the newer sites that have come online since the inland port began to develop. 25 acres on East Poinsett Street, and you'll notice a pattern here. East Poinsett Street extension, we've had a number of sites begin to identify in the 25 and above acreage range. Victor Hill Road, we've seen a lot of the area that used to be agricultural now begin to become very well organized and very well marketed to attract those kind of transportation, distribution, logistics projects that are coming our way as a result of the inland port. And certainly Highway 101 South has seen a lot of very focused organization. That's an area of our community that has the ability to provide larger tracts of land. In this case, we've got a couple of 70-acre parcels that to this point we've identified, and I believe as time marches forward, we'll see some even larger tracts begin to be identified along Highway 101 South, which will certainly be attractive to those folks who are distribution related. Lots of information, I know, in terms of our available product. Certainly, I'd like to take any questions that you have, but I definitely want to leave you with the message that our goals are very aggressive, I believe. I think appropriately so. I think that history has proven that we're in a great position to compete, that we have the human infrastructure in place from a staff perspective, from a planning perspective, to accommodate the kinds of projects that we recruit. And again, all these properties specifically inside Greer city limits. We have the capacity in terms of our utilities to serve without concern the kind of projects that we're recruiting for these larger tracts, for these larger buildings. And I think that we have the product available, both in terms of some of the older product that is turned over and the newer product that's now coming online, Calvary Ridge and Velocity Park, for example, to really differentiate Greer in the eyes of those decision makers who represent those prospects every single day. Again, I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Council?
Reno, I have a question about infrastructure and not the cities, more particular roads. I think our city roads are in good shape, and we try to keep ahead of any maintenance issues. But when you read about state roads and the comments that are coming from business folks and recruiters and lawmakers, some of them are saying, if you don't if you don't fix your roads, you're on the road to ruin. Do you hear any potential clients talk about roads, in particular disrepair or what's not being done?
Certainly. The transportation infrastructure is an initial eliminating factor in every request for information. And for council's benefit, the way that a lot of these projects start is a questionnaire, for lack of a better term, that asks us as the local economic development group to identify every imaginable thing that you can imagine about a site or building for their analysis. And roads, transportation infrastructure in particular, take up a good portion of that as an initial qualification. And then of course when folks come on site, they want to drive not just the normal route there, but the route that their employees will take, and they do want a good understanding that it's safe, it's convenient, it's reliable, and that they can depend on it.
Is that, do you know that to be a reason or one of the reasons that a potential business said, no, I'm not going to? Okay.
I think that's fair. I don't want to place too much importance on roads at sort of above all of the things.
Right.
There are certainly hundreds of factors that play into a prospect's decision to locate or not to locate. But certainly transportation is one that's among the very important. Yes, sir.
And you've had folks who said, yes, that is one of the reasons that...
Yes.
Okay.
We certainly have folks who decide to come, not to come, based upon the ability to get where they're going.
Been a pretty impressive display of facilities available within the city here. We obviously compete not only just with facilities here in town, but immediately around us, and then even on a broader scale in the entire upstate to some regard. What is our competition in terms of immediately around us? I mean, is it compatible with what we've just seen or not?
Well, I think that, I mean, they're certainly, we're not the only community with product. We're certainly not the only area with product. I think, though, that the differentiators for us here in Greer tend to win the day. And those differentiators are, we have the ability to provide great utilities, great capacity, great reliability on all four utilities. I think that planning and zoning in the city of Greer, city limits, is a great differentiator for us. I think it gives our prospects a great deal of comfort and reliability. I think that the actions of council, I think the way that this group goes about its business in a professional manner is a differentiator for us. And so I think that we have the ability to win because we have product inside Greer city limits. And at the end of the day, we do compete with other folks, but not just nearby. We compete with folks in Chattanooga and Sacramento, Texas, and certainly all over the world.
Others? I guess our last question then is when is Kyle going to run through the door and shoot T-shirts at us?
We had to. You might recall that we hit the projector at the last meeting, so I think Mr. Riggers took the gun away from us.
Confiscated
his gun.
He said we'd have it back at the end of the school year. So.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Rena. We appreciate the update and, as always, your work in that regard. With that, then, we'll move to the administrator's report. Mr. Driggers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We are working diligently, compiling our notes and pulling everything together as a result of your strategic planning retreat. It offered us a great opportunity to look at our current strategic plan, changes that we will be needing to recommend to you as a result of that planning session. We are in the process of that. As you are aware, there are a couple of ordinances that will be forthcoming here in the very near future as well, so we've got some things that we're working on there. But it was a very productive time for us. As your staff, we had a great opportunity to spend time with you, to learn a little more about your priorities here over the next couple of years, those things that are more immediate for you and a few things that are a little more long range. Again, we are in the process of compiling those. You will be seeing those in the form of updates to the strategic plan. You'll be seeing that as a result of the priorities that will be placed in the funding for our budget this next year. And of course, you'll also be seeing that in ordinances, policies, and procedures over the coming months as well. So again, thank you for that time. It was 2 long days, and we certainly understand that, but we appreciate everyone's participation in that process and the input that you provided to us. As we continue to move forward and gather that data, if there's anything that we can answer for you or that we can bring back to the table that you may be looking for some additional information on, please let us know and we'll make sure that we accommodate that request. But we're getting all that synthesized and ready to bring back to you in the very near future. A couple of things I want to make you aware of. That across the state of South Carolina, there is an effort to standardize the business license applications that many businesses will see. And one of the things that we find here in our Greer community is that people who do business with us do tend to do business across the state. So we are very proud to be one of the leading municipalities in that effort. We were very involved both through David Seifert and through Vicki Adams, through the Business License Officials Association, in being a true leader in that process of developing that standardized business license application. We are online and we are doing that, and we are being promoted with a number of other municipalities across the state as there's an attempt statewide for that standardization. So again, very glad that we are able to be a leader in that effort. We believe that there will be great returns for us in the future as folks who sometimes can grow frustrated in that process from community to community. The forms can be different, the requirements can be different, the fees can be different, lots of variations that are there. As you are well aware, we've adopted the uniform code, and that has worked very well for us. And is continuing to do so as we move forward. So I wanted to share with you that we're one of the leading cities in jumping out front in providing that standardized application process, and you'll be hearing more about that as more cities get online with that as well. The Statement of Economic Interest, I want to make sure that you are aware that we've got a little earlier deadline. That deadline is March 30th, not the 31st. March 30th is the deadline for that application. Previously, April 15th. If you have not yet completed that, please make sure you are only about 2.5 weeks away from the final deadline. They do monitor those. They are continuing to send emails to you and to us reminding us that those are done. I will tell you, someone asked me, how can I stop those emails from coming in? And the easiest way is file your report. The moment you file it, they'll stop sending you email reminders. But it is critically important that our ethics reports, our economic interest statements are filed in a timely manner, and I appreciate your attention to that as we continue to move forward. Just as a reminder, we are very, very pleased that the Greater Greer Chamber of Commerce is again this year sponsoring recognition for our public safety officials. Very, very enthusiastic to be able to participate in this again this year. Our police, fire, and area first responders being recognized. It's a great opportunity. Those folks were brought in. They're treated to dinner at no charge. There are prizes and giveaways, but most importantly, it is not only us as their employer, because we like to participate in that process as well. But most importantly, it is the community. It is the community through our business community that steps up and says thank you to our public safety workers throughout the city, And we are just extremely appreciative to the Chamber of Commerce for the work they have done in leading this effort. This will be our third year to do that program, and that is on Thursday evening, the 27th. And we do indeed hope that your schedule will allow you to be there that night, as not only we, but as the community recognizes the efforts of those folks who truly do put their own lives in harm's way to make sure that we are a safer community. And we're looking forward to that program. We're also looking forward, in just a few days after that, we will be participating in our own international festival. As you may recall, we received a grant this year to really kind of springboard this event. We are doing that in conjunction with some programs that are taking place throughout the upstate, but here in Greer on that Saturday between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here in Greer City Park, we will be having our own celebration of multicultural cultures here in our community through this international festival. And again, we hope that your schedule will allow you to come, spend some time. Please plan to spend the entire time. It will be very well worth your while as we learn a little more about the cultures that are here in our own community. Looking forward to that. Our annual report that we had an opportunity to share with you at our planning retreat. Several folks were asking us how we were going to be getting that out and promoted. You may have noticed that when you were coming in this evening, that is now actually published on our television station as well. So we give a link to that. Of course, maybe you can connect through your TV. My TV doesn't work that way, but maybe you can connect. But you certainly have the ability to go to our website. You then can click on the flip book. And then you can download that document yourself, look at it at your leisure. We are promoting it through our website. We will also be doing some display advertising relative to getting the word out on that, as well as getting that through some other media outlets and announcements. And looking forward to sharing that with all of our community. I will let you know that we shared that statewide last week. You got an email from me earlier in the week, last week, highlighting that and giving the link to it. But we shared that with our legislative delegation, our state legislators. We shared that with representatives of county councils and with Greenville and Spartanburg County. We shared that with our colleagues around the state. And there has been an abundance of inquiry of how we do that and what makes it successful. And I'm glad to report that I have referred all of those calls to Steve Owens. And because Steve is the author of that, he has done, again, such a wonderful job in highlighting the work that we did this past fiscal year, 2013, our calendar year. And we're glad to share that with our community. We're glad to share it with folks around the state, but most importantly, it is good information for you to share with your constituents. And so what we do ask of you, if you have a contact database, if you have folks that you regularly communicate with, folks that regularly will send you an email and ask you about what's going on in the city, what's happening, we would really encourage you to take that document, link it, send it over to your constituents as well, and say, may I share this with you about some things that are taking place here in the city, things that are happening within your respective districts as well. We're getting a lot of good attention to that, and it's rightly deserved. So again, kudos to Steve. I'd say and his team, and he could say he and the mouse in his pocket, I guess, but he's done a great job with that. And then, of course, the last thing that I would ask of you, I think at your place this evening, is some information concerning upcoming events with Greer Development Corporation. We're great partners that we work with. Glad that Reno could come in tonight and share with us some of the things that are happening there and how he works in partnership with CPW and with the city. He is a great asset for us as a community. When we go to the table, whether that table is for a nationwide project, it may be something coming through the State Department of Commerce, it may be coming through the Upstate Alliance, it may be coming through our partners at our respective county organizations, but no matter where that project may be coming to us from, as we learn about it and we start to work with it, what we have learned a long time ago is that if you're not at the table, then you usually don't have an opportunity to compete. And we are always at the table for those projects, and we are extremely well represented with Reno Deaton and the work that he and his team over at Greer Development Corporation are doing for us. And this, the brochure listing some upcoming events is just a continuing way of showing us how they are doing that. And if your schedules would allow you to participate in any of those events, I know that they welcome you to come in and participate in those as well. Wonderful to have those partners over there for us. That concludes my report this evening. I do not have any items that I would personally need to be requesting for your consideration in executive session, so I'm certainly available if you have any questions at this time.
You know, the lady in Columbia said if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu.
That's exactly right.
Mr. Driggers,
And she's correct.
as you and your staff compile all the information that we went over in our planning meeting, one of the things that I would like for you to put on the agenda at some point in the next weeks or months is to have some discussion in regards to possibly going to the state and saying we will take certain amounts of roadway and put it in our inventory, because as Reno just indicated that was a factor on, not the factor, but it is a factor on site selection. And I think it deserves some discussion by council.
Absolutely. Glad to do that. I know that Mr. Holloman is continuing to look at road infrastructure relative to state infrastructure, county infrastructure, as well as that which is in our corporate limits and our responsibility. We've had opportunities in the past to look at trading some of that where it may be more advantageous for the state or for us relative to that roadway and how it can best be used, whether that's for industrial development, commercial development, or for, in our case, residential development as well. So by all means, we certainly want to make sure that we're continuing to look at what those opportunities could be. However, we do also send a message back to our state legislators that foremost, the responsibility for the maintenance of those state highways and those state roadways is the responsibility of the state of South Carolina, and that we would like for them to make sure that that any roadway that we may would acquire into our system going forward, that those roadways are brought up to the standards that they would require themselves for any type of development on those roads. So we think there's great opportunity for continued discussions with that, and we'll certainly do that.
Mr. Driggers, in regard to action that's just taken place here in the last day or two, do you have a feeling for how much credit cards are used in terms of paying? I know it's not applicable to the court system, but for taxes and other things that people pay here that might be affected by the proviso and the budget that local municipalities and counties wouldn't be able to charge in regards to?
We're looking very closely at that, and as you may recall, we do not charge an administrative fee or a convenience fee for the use of credit cards here at the city. And we don't collect property tax. Property taxes are collected by the respective counties, and those are remitted to us. And in both cases, with both Greenville and Spartanburg County, they do charge a convenience fee for the use of that card. But we do use them for, you can use it in our court system, you can use those cards in our recreation program, you can use it for the purchase of a business license. Our belief internally has been, and through our budgeting process, that the convenience and the return on that investment has outweighed trying to charge the convenience fees. So even if that proviso was to be passed by the state legislature, it would have no impact to us at the city of Greer. But we don't know what the impact would be at this point to Greenville and Spartanburg County. And as a result of that, many municipalities do charge a convenience fee, and most of the counties do as well. So we have supported, through the Municipal Association, trying to have that proviso dropped from the state budget relative to the credit card use.
Anything else this evening?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else, council? Hearing none, I have no items for executive session. We stand adjourned.